What's up guys, I hope you had a great day and welcome to my newest video where I will explain you 5 mechanics that the game doesn't teach you, but luckily I am here to show you what it means and how it's done. Let's start with the first tip, and the first tip covers active frames. In my opinion, a thing that is not talked about enough, especially on beginner or intermediate levels. As an example, we take Paul and Dragunov. You probably know Dragunov's down 2, it's his most notorious low. Dragunov's down 2 is an 18 frame low. Now let's look at the bottom right. If we watch the bottom right when Dragunov does the low, we can see that there is an 18 followed by an 18 to 19 in brackets. Now what does it mean? The number in brackets mean the active frames, so Dragunov's down 2 can be active on the 18th or on the 19th frame, and the number in front of the bracket shows you on which frame the move actually hit. So in that example, the move hits on the 18th frame, but it could technically also hit on the 19th. What difference does that make? As we know, Dragunov's down 2 is minus 13 on block. Paul has a 13 frame while standing punish, his while standing 3-2. So if Paul blocks Dragunov down 2, he's able to punish it for a clean, for a clean 37 damage. But now, as I told you, Dragunov's down 2 can hit in the second frame. Meaning, since the move hits 1 frame later, Dragunov will recover 1 frame earlier because that move hits later. So there is actually a big difference if your character has a 13 frame punish. Now assuming I as a player will sidewalk into duck, what is gonna happen now is, as you can see, the move hit on the second active frame. There was a 19 in front of the brackets instead of the 18, but as you can see below that, it is minus 12 in that situation. So if me as a Paul player, if I'm gonna try to hit my while standing 3-2, the while standing 3 remains 13 frames fast, so it's not gonna punish the low. No, the opposite is gonna happen. If your opponent knows a Paul, he can actually duck the second hit, which is a high, and launch you. And a lot of people I know could blame online for that, but as you can see, it happens rarely, but it can happen. Instead of blaming online, it is a mechanic in the game. And as you can see, you won't actually know in game if it's minus 12 or minus 13. So yeah, keep those kind of things in mind. Obviously, you don't need to know every active frame in the game, but just keep in mind that there are situations where your punish could not be hitting, not because you're late or because of online, rather because the move of the opponent hit on its second active frame. Another situation where active frames can be important is an interaction between Shaheen and Kuma. Now Kuma has his hunting beer stance 1+2, it's a mid launcher from its stance, which in return is minus 15 on block. Shaheen, as you know, has a hop kick, which is 15 frames fast. But watch out, if we watch on the bottom left again, we can see a 15 to 17 in brackets. What does it mean? That means the hop kick actually has 3 active frames. The active frame number 15, number 16 and number 17. So in that specific situation, if Shaheen blocks the move from close, he can use his hop kick, and as you can see in the purple color, it was a punish. Kuma could not block it. I put Kuma on blocking afterwards, so if we block it and punish it, we get a full combo. But what's gonna happen if I block it from a bit further away and the move has pushback? As you can see, Kuma was able to block my hop kick, and on the bottom left you saw Shaheen's hop kick hit on the 16th active frame. Now go back to Dragunov's situation, as you could see the hop kick became minus 12 instead of the usual minus 13 as well, but you weren't able to launch in that situation. And just to help you understanding even more, I'm going to show you one more example, and this time it's about Claudius wall running 2. Claudius wall running 2 is +6 on block, but if we watch the bottom left, we can see it can be active from frame 13 to frame 16, meaning, as I told you, the later the move hits, the quicker Claudius is going to recover, that it can be more plus than +6. And actually there are specific situations where you can set it up. I'm gonna hit Brian with my back 1, and then I'm gonna follow up with a running 2, and as you can see, it hit on the 14th active frame right there because I hit him on the wake up. Actually, I can also hit it a bit later. As you can see, this was on the 15th frame, and I was +8. So active frames, in my opinion, are a core part about Tekken, but the game won't explain it to you. But I hope I help you understand that one now. The second tip is about an inbuilt mechanic that every character actually has, but I don't see taught anywhere. And it's about the wall jump. If your back is to the wall, actually you can jump off of it by pressing back, back into up, back. Now obviously you have to press it a bit faster, but it's gonna look something like that. And every character kind of has a unique wall jump. This one from Claudio gives you a guaranteed follow-up with like down by 1+2. Then there are wall jumps that actually go further, with which you can try to cover more space and actually side switch to escape wall pressure. For example, Shaheen, if he does it, he does this and gets a guaranteed follow-up. Or like Alyssa actually has a cool one because she actually flies away really far to escape wall pressure. Let me show you. Back, back, up, back, flies away. And there are also some wall jumps that, instead of giving you a guaranteed follow-up like the one Claudio had, give you a full combo. One of them is Jack. Let me show you that one. His one looks like that. And you actually get a full combo. And also get out of the wall. The next mechanic that the game does not teach you is about the generic downjab. Now downjab is a really good tool to escape pressure, especially in Tekken 8, since it's fast with being 10 frame, it's a high crush, it is safe on block, and it's plus on hit. Now there is a downside that I'd say that downjab has. Once you do it, let it be on block or on hit, you are in a crouch situation. So even if you hit it and a +6, you have limited options since you're crouched. What Horan can do is like do his while setting 4-4, he can do his newly added while setting 1-4, or like his while setting 3, which is punishable on hit, but you get it, you know? There is actually a mechanic that the game does not teach you, where if you press forward after your down jab, you are gonna recover in standing. There is no crouch cancel involved. The game is gonna do that for you just by holding forward after down jab. So as I showed you, if I press down jab and mash my 4 button, Horang is gonna do while standing 4-4. Or like if I mash 1, I'm gonna get while standing 1. Now watch my inputs on the left. If I'm gonna input a forward right after my down jab and press the button, the standing version of the move is gonna come out. So I do down jab into forward and then I mash 1. I get a jab. I mash down jab into forward and press 4. We get standing 4. And by using that mechanic, you have way more options than your limited crouch options. And you can use them to continue your pressure. Like for example, if you're Horang, if you use down jab into forward, you can continue your pressure with down 3-4. Or you can also go for your generic down 4-2, which is a frame trap in that situation. What you can also do is jabs, you can use a generic down 4-1 as a mid poke. There's so many things you can do just by pressing forward after your down jab. The next topic we talk about is a phrase that people tend to mix up a lot or just use for both kind of things. In Tekken, there are high crushing moves and there are high evading moves. And no, those two kind of moves are not the same. And I'm gonna show you what the difference is. Claudio is the perfect example. Claudio's back one is a mid homing that is a high evading move. What does high evading mean? High evading means that Claudio's back one in certain situations can go under highs. Now let me do a jab and Kazuya is gonna respond with a jab. A jab is a regular high, you all know it. Now if I do a jab into back one, actually frame wise I should lose because I'm only +1 and I'm doing an 18 frame move. But since Claudio's back one can evade highs, in certain situations as you can see, I can go below it. On top of that, Claudio actually has a high crushing move with his down back 1+2. What is a high crushing move? A high crushing move is a built-in mechanic that the move has to beat all highs of the game. Now, Claudio's down back 1+2 is a high crush, whereas Claudio's back 1 is a high evasion. As you saw before, if I'm close, Claudio's back 1 is gonna actually lose to the jab. If I'm a bit further away, I go below the jab. Okay, what's gonna happen with the true high crushing move down back 1+2? It does not matter if I'm close, it does not matter if I'm far away, I'm gonna go under the jab. Now jab is not the only situation where that can happen. Actually, a high attack in Tekken does not automatically mean a high attack in Tekken. What do I mean with that? I mean that different high attacks actually have different hitboxes. A jab has a high hitbox. Now Kazuya has, as other Mishimas, his electric. Electric Wind God Fizz, even though it is a high, it has a very low hitbox, which you can see in combos when people tend to chain electrics. They hit low on the ground. Now since Claudio's back one is only a high evading move, it really depends on if Claudio's buddy goes below that move. Since electric hits very low, even if I'm a bit further away and I do Claudio's back one, I'm not gonna evade the electric. There is no chance that this back one of Claudio will ever evade Mishima's electrics because their hitbox is just too low. But Claudio's down back 1+2 being a true high crush, meaning the game itself has a mechanic where this move is gonna beat every high attack, is gonna go below electric. It doesn't matter at which range we are, it's gonna go below electric in that situation. So there is a very important distinguishment between high evading moves and high crushing moves. If you want to know if a move is specifically high crushing or high evading, you can check out several frame websites like tekkendocs.com that actually show you on that specific move if it is a high crush or a high evasion. Now, another important thing to notice here is that the high crush does not start instantly. Claudio's down back 1+2 is 17 frames fast, but it does not crush from the first frame. If I let Kazuya do a jab into a jab, a very basic situation, if I block the first jab, I can go under the second one, easy as that. But if I get hit by the first jab, Kazuya is +8 on hit. Whoops, Kazuya is actually +8 on hit. So the second jab actually comes out in 2 frames. In that situation, whoops, it wasn't blocked. In that situation, as you can see, I'm pressing my Yiha. I don't have enough time to go under it. So the high crushing frames start later than instantly. So in certain situations, the opponent can actually check with the eye to be safe from high crushing moves, but in other situations, I can go below it. Just to give you one more example, because I really want you to understand, I'm gonna show you one situation between Shaheen and Paul. And I'm gonna show you that not every high is the same high, even though they might be jabs. Shaheen has a jab. Of course, you press 1, you get a jab. It's 10 frames fast. Shaheen also has a jab by pressing 2. Now Shaheen's 2 is also 10 frames fast, and both of them are highs. As you can see, it's a high and that one is a high. Okay, now let me do a back one of Shaheen. Back one of Shaheen puts the opponent into crouching state and let Paul answer with his while standing 1-2. As you can see on the bottom, I am 0 on block. So if I'm gonna do my 10 frame move, I should win against a 14 frame move, right? Oh, 15 frames actually. I should win against a 15 frame move, right? So let me do back one into jab. As you can see, my jab loses in that situation to Paul doing while standing 1-2. But if I do 2 jab instead of 1 jab in that situation, as you can see, since 2 jab, even though it is also a high, has a lower hitbox, it can actually beat Paul's while standing 1-2 in that situation. Since Paul's while standing 1-2 is only a high evading move, not a high crushing move. And the last tip is a mechanic that's gonna help you get your heat dashes. Now you perform a heat dash by pressing forward after a heat engaging move. For example, Fang has his shoulder. If you press forward, you get the heat dash. You know it, you know how to play Tekken, you know what to do. For certain moves, I feel like it's a bit difficult to always hit the heat dash. For example, Fang's shoulder being a back input, instantly going from back to forward, you might miss it. Now let's say you hit it 99 out of 100 times, that one time could be crucial if you're a bit too late. As you can see, I pressed forward, but I pressed it a bit too late, so the heat dash actually did not come out. You miss out on damage or you miss out on plus frames. What you can actually do instead of holding forward is that you can use your dedicated heat button. As you can see, I pressed the heat button. If you go on to controller setup, you can see there is a dedicated button for heat burst and heat smash, and you can bind it for whatever you want. Now I have it on my LB button. Heat dashes are not only performed by pressing forward afterwards, actually you can use your heat button to use a heat dash. As you can see on the left on my command history, I did not press forward, I pressed my heat button in order to do the heat dash. And using that mechanic, you will never drop your heat dash again. In my opinion, it's just way safer if you have a heat button binded for situations like Fang's shoulder, or for example moves that use an up forward input. I feel like those kind of moves also can happen to drop if you switch from up forward to forward, or just in general actually any heat dash just to be safe. That was it with my video about 5 mechanics that the game does not teach you. I hope it helped you out, and I'm gonna see you in my next video.